So today, first of all, we have the stuff about blood. And what we find in the Bible is that blood is quite a significant thing. Right, if you can cast your mind back to the early chapters of Genesis, you might remember that Cain murdered his brother Abel. And when God came to Cain to challenge him, he said, what have you done to your brother? I can hear his blood crying out from the ground. And blood is we're told here clearly, is the life of a creature. Its life is wrapped up in its blood. The two are kind of interchangeable. And so God gives Israel this principle of sacrifice, that they sacrifice an animal, that they treat the blood with a huge amount of respect, that it's either sprinkled on the altar or it's buried. And the blood then, which symbolizes life, is used to, if you will, kind of cover their life, cover their sin. So they mess it up, and the penalty of sin is always death. But then the life of the animal takes the place of that. And that's how they make atonement. The word, if you break it down, means at one-ment. They become at one again with God, having become separated from him through blood. And in the New Testament, we know that blood also is incredibly significant. Sacrifice is as significant in the New Testament as it is in the Old Testament. But of course, the great sacrifice is Jesus, and his is the blood that's shed. And I find it astonishing, just sitting here thinking about the fact that blood is the symbol of life, and God is the source of all life. And he comes and he takes on flesh. He takes on flesh and blood. And so when Jesus dies on the cross, the God of the universe, not an animal, not a created being, but the God of the universe, his blood, his life is spilt for me and spilt for you. His actual, the source of all life, his life is spilt. And that's why everything we do is wiped clean by the blood of Jesus. Everything that, it's such an incredible sacrifice and offering that it wipes and it covers all of our sin. It's so sacred. And then just briefly going on to, there's stuff about sexual relations, and chapter 18 really marks a turning point in Leviticus. Up until this stage, a lot of the focus has been on the priests and the rituals that they do around the tabernacle. Now the emphasis is going to become more the people and people's behaviour and things like that. The one thing I just want to highlight from here, obviously there's all the list of who not to have sex with, and then you get to the bit at the end where God says, look, if you do these things, you'll be vomited out by the land, just as the people before you were vomited out. The point is, God judged the Canaanites before for their moral failure and their sin, and he's very consistent in this, and he says, look, I'll do the same thing for you guys, and eventually he does, if you don't choose to live differently. And the call for us as the church, as God's people, is occasionally we can get a little bit dismissive of the people of Israel and proud about the fact that we don't commit the same sins that they do. But it can serve as a warning to us that we too are to be distinct, and we too are to be different. And we can read this story as we're going to over the rest of the year and see the way in which they get it wrong and learn lessons from their mistakes. And it's going to help us as we figure out together how to live well.